Tiananmen Square, yes or no?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The massacre in Tiananmen Square.
That kind of content is available on our platform. You can go and search it.
I will remind you that making false or misleading statements to Congress is a federal crime.
I understand. Again,
Reclaiming my time, can you say with 100% certainty that ByteDance or the CCP cannot use your company or its divisions to heat content to promote pro-CCP messages for an act of aggression against Taiwan?
we do not promote or remove content at the request
I
of
guess
the
the
Chinese
question-
government.
So in examining TikTok breaking away from ByteDance, I'd like to ask you some questions about that and how a severance in terms of the relationship with ByteDance, how user data, American users' data, would be protected. Now, under Beijing's security laws, Article 7 compels companies to provide data. Article 10 makes the reach of the law extraterritorial.
In your testimony, ByteDance is TikTok's parent company. Is it accurate to say that you are in regular communication with the CEO of ByteDance, Leon Robo?
Chair Rogers, yes, I am in
Thank you.
communication with him.
Okay. Kelly Zhang is the CEO of ByteDance China, overseeing Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. Are you in regular communication with Kelly?
I'm not in regular communication with her.
The ByteDance editor-in-chief is Zhong Fuping, correct?
I believe so.
And Wu Shugang is Beijing ByteDance technology board member and also an official of the Cyberspace Administration in China. Is this correct?
I believe so. They are not in the right.
Thank you. All of these individuals work or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, are at the highest levels of leadership at ByteDance, a company where you previously served as the chief financial officer and where you regularly communicate with their CEO. TikTok has told us that you weren't sharing data with the CCP, but leaked audio from within TikTok has proven otherwise. TikTok told us that you weren't tracking the geolocation of American citizens. You were. TikTok told us you weren't spying on journalists. You were. In your testimony, you state that ByteDance is not beholden to the CCP. Again, each of the individuals I listed are affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, including Zhong Fuping, who is reported to be the Communist Party secretary of ByteDance, and who has called for the party committee to, quote, take the lead across all party lines to ensure the algorithm is enforced by, quote, correct political direction. Just this morning, the Wall Street Journal reported that the CCP is opposed to a forced sale of TikTok by ByteDance, quoting a CCP spokesman as saying the Chinese government would make a decision regarding any sale of TikTok. So the CCP believes they have the final say over your company. I have zero confidence in your assertion that ByteDance and TikTok are not beholden to the CCP. Next question. Heating content is a way of promoting and moderating content. In your current or previous positions within Chinese companies, have employees engaged in heating content for users outside of China? Very quickly, yes or no?
Our heating process is approved by our local teams in the various countries.
The answer is yes, thank you. Have any moderation tools been used to remove content on TikTok associated with the Uyghur genocide? Yes or no?
We do not remove that kind of content. TikTok is a place for freedom of expression. And Chair Rogers, like I said, if you use our app, you can go on it and you will see a lot of users around the world expressing content on that topic and many others.
Thank you. What about the massacre in Tiananmen Square, yes or no?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The massacre in Tiananmen Square.
That kind of content is available on our platform. You can go and search it.
I will remind you that making false or misleading statements to Congress is a federal crime.
I understand. Again, if you go on our platform, you will find that content.
Okay, thank you. Reclaiming my time, can you say with 100% certainty that ByteDance or the CCP cannot use your company or its divisions to heat content to promote pro-CCP messages for an act of aggression against Taiwan?
We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government.
The question is,
we will replace.
The question is, are you 100% certain that they cannot use your company to promote such messages?
It is our commitment to this committee and all our users that we will keep this free from any manipulation by any government.
If you can't say 100% certain, I take that as a no. As I previously referenced, TikTok spied on American journalists. Can you say with 100% certainty that neither ByteDance nor TikTok employees can target other Americans with similar surveillance techniques?
Chair Rogers, I first of all disagree with the characterization that is spying. It was an internal
Surveillance?
investigation.
Yes or no? Can you do surveillance of other Americans?
We will protect the U.S. user data and fire it all from all unwanted foreign access. It's a commitment that we've given to the committee.
So I guess my question is, I wanted to hear you say with 100% certainty that neither ByteDance nor TikTok employees can target other Americans with similar surveillance techniques as you did with the journalist.
Again, I don't disagree with the characterization is surveillance, and we have given our commitments, Chair Rogers. The 4 commitments, I think it's our commitment that we will not be influenced by any government on these issues.
DOJ is investigating this surveillance right now. To the American people watching today, hear this: TikTok is a weapon by the Chinese Communist Party to spy on you, manipulate what you see, and exploit for future generations. A ban is only a short-term way to address TikTok, and a data privacy bill is the only way to stop TikTok from ever happening again in the United States. I yield back. I now yield to the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just start out by saying, Mr. Chu, that I don't find what you suggested with Project Texas and this firewall that's being suggested to whoever will be acceptable to me. In other words, you know, I still believe that the Beijing Communist government will still control and have the ability to influence what you do. And so this idea, this Project Texas, is simply not acceptable. According to a recent report, TikTok is on target to make between $15 and $18 billion in revenue this year. Is that an accurate forecast?
Congressman, as a private company, we are not sharing our revenue numbers
what you
publicly.
would say. How much money will TikTok make by delivering personalized advertisements just to your users in the United States? Will you give me that information?
Again, Congressman, respectfully, as a
I
private
thought
company,
that's
we're
what
not
you would
disclosing
say.
that.
Look, the impression you're giving, and I know, you know, I can understand why you're trying to give that impression, is that, you know, that you're just performing some kind of public service here, right? I mean, this is a benign company that's just performing a public service. Maybe that's not what you're saying, but I don't buy it, right? My concern here is primarily about the privacy issue, the fact that TikTok is making all kinds of money by gathering private information about Americans that they don't need for their business purposes, and then they sell it. And I mentioned this legislation that the chair and I have that would minimize data collection and make it much more difficult for TikTok and other companies to do that. So if you want to make some commitments today, I'll ask you to make some commitments with regard to this legislation. And, you know, you're going to tell me, well, the bill isn't passed, and so therefore I don't have to do it. But, you know, you say you're benign, you want to do good things for the public. So let me ask you, why not, what about a commitment that says that you won't sell the data that you collect? Would you commit to that, not selling the data you collect?
Congressman, I believe we don't sell data to any data brokers.
You don't sell to anyone.
We don't sell data to data brokers.
I didn't ask you data brokers. You sell it to anyone. In other words, under our bill, you could only use the data for your own purposes, not to sell it to anyone. Would you commit to not selling your data to anyone?
Congressman, I actually am in support of some rules.
I didn't ask
privacy.
you whether the rules. I asked you whether the company, TikTok, would commit to not selling its data to anyone and just using it for its own purposes internally.
I can get back to you on the details
Okay,
of that.
get back to me.
Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Burgess, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chu, for joining us today. I think we've heard you say multiple times that TikTok is not a Chinese company, that ByteDance is not a Chinese company. But according to an article in today's Wall Street Journal, quoting here, China's Commerce Ministry said Thursday that a sale or divestiture of TikTok will involve exporting technology that has to be approved by the Chinese government. Continuing to quote, the reported efforts by the Biden administration would severely undermine global investors' confidence in the U.S., said Xu Juting, a ministry spokeswoman. Continuing to quote, if that is true, China will firmly oppose it, she said, referring to the forced sale. So despite your assertions to the contrary, China certainly thinks it is in control of TikTok and its software. Is that not correct?
Congressman, TikTok is not available in mainland China. And today we're headquartered in Los Angeles and Singapore. But I'm not saying that the founders of ByteDance are not Chinese, nor am I saying that we don't make use of Chinese employees, just like many other companies around the world. We do use their expertise on some engineering projects.
But according to their ministry spokeswoman, it would be a divestiture of exporting technology from China. So China thinks they own it, even though you do not. Madam Chair, I'd just like to ask unanimous consent to put today's Wall Street Journal
Without
article
objection, so ordered.
into the record. Mr. Chu, I wouldn't ask you to discuss any privileged attorney-client materials, but did anyone aside from your lawyers assist you in preparation for today's hearing?
I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Did anyone at ByteDance directly provide input, help, or instruction for your testimony today?
Congressman, this is a very high-profile hearing. My phone is full of well wishes. But I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Are you willing to share who helped prepare you for this hearing with the committee? And you can do that
I
in
can
writing.
follow up with you if
Okay.
you like.
Can you guarantee that no one at ByteDance had a role in preparing you for today's hearing?
Like I said, Congressman, this is a high-profile hearing. A lot of people around the world were sending me wishes and unsolicited advice, but I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Are the attorneys representing TikTok also representing ByteDance?
Yes, I believe so.
What percentage of TikTok revenue does ByteDance retain? Just give me a ballpark estimate if you don't precisely know.
Congressman, like I said, as a private company, we are not prepared to disclose our financials in public today.
But can we ask you to get back to us with a ballpark? We're not asking for the precise figures, but to get so the committee can have some understanding of the percentage of TikTok revenue that ByteDance retains.
I understand the question. Respectfully, as a private company, we are not disclosing our financials today.
Prior to today's hearing, did anyone affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party discuss this hearing with you, or anyone else on TikTok senior management?
Congressman, since I've been CEO of this company, I have not had any discussions with Chinese government officials.
So but what about the Chinese Communist Party itself? Have any of those officials discussed this with you?
Like I said, I have not had any discussion with Chinese government officials. I don't know the political affiliation of everybody I speak to, so I can't verify the statement.
Let me ask you a question in a different direction. A few weeks ago, this committee had a field hearing down in McAllen, Texas, and it was on the issue of fentanyl and illegal immigration. And one of our witnesses, Brandon Judd, a 25-year veteran Border Patrol agent, said that all social media platforms play a role in illegal immigration. That's one of the ways cartels advertise their services throughout the world and convince people to put themselves in their hands and come to the United States. The cartels all use social media platforms. Are you aware of this phenomenon?
Any content that promotes human abuse is violative of our community guidelines, which dictates what is allowed and not allowed on our platform. We proactively identify and remove them from our platform.
Well, it would be very helpful if you would share with the committee examples of how you have removed people, because what we heard at the hearing was that TikTok was one of the platforms that recruits adolescents in the United States to help with transporting people who are in the country who've been trafficked into the country, as well as contraband substances. Would you help us with that, understanding who you have removed from your platform?
Congressman, I'll be delighted to check with my team and get back to yours and be collaborative.
Thank you. I'll yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the lady from California, Ms. Eshu, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mr. Chu, thank you for being here today. As members of Congress, our very first and top responsibility is to protect and defend. Protect and defend our Constitution and the national security of our country. So I view this entire issue, now there are many parts of it that are not part of our national security, in my view, but first and foremost for our national security. So in examining TikTok breaking away from ByteDance, I'd like to ask you some questions about that and how a severance in terms of the relationship with ByteDance, how user data, American users' data, would be protected. Now, under Beijing's security laws, Article 7 compels companies to provide data. Article 10 makes the reach of the law extraterritorial. Now, this is very clear. I don't need to read all of it into the record, but those are the laws of the PRC. How does ByteDance, how does TikTok, rather, how do you convince the Congress of the United States that there can be a clean break? Why would the Chinese government sidestep their national law, including Article 7, Article 10, in terms of user data?
Congressman, thank you for the question. I'm glad you asked this. As I said in the opening statement, our plan is to move American data to be stored on American soil by the American company.
I understand that, but you're sidestepping, or I haven't read anything in terms of TikTok, how you can actually say, and you spoke in your opening statement about a firewall relative to the data, but the Chinese government has that data. How can you promise that that will move into the United States of America and be protected here?
Congresswoman, I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what? I find that actually preposterous.
I have looked in. I have seen no evidence of this happening. And in order to assure everybody here and all our users, our commitment is to move the data into the United States to be stored on American soil by an American company, overseen by American personnel. So the risk will be similar to any government going to an American company asking for data. If that.
Well, I'm one that doesn't believe that there is really a private sector in China. And when you look at their national law and what specifically these two articles, Article 7 and Article 10, are very clear. So I think that there is a real problem relative to our national security about the protection of the user data. I don't believe that TikTok has, that you have said or done anything to convince us that information, the personal information of 150 million Americans, that the Chinese government is not going to give that up. So can you tell me who writes the algorithms for TikTok?
Today, the algorithm that powers the US user experience is running in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Yes, initially there were parts of the source code, especially at the infrastructure layer, that doesn't touch the user experience. Now, that's a collaborative global effort, including built by engineers in China, just like many other companies, by the way. The phone you use, the car you drive is a global collaborative effort. Now, but today, the business sites and the main parts of the code for TikTok is written by TikTok employees. And, Congresswoman, What we are offering is third-party monitoring of our source code. I am not aware of any company, American companies or otherwise, that has actually done that. Because we are saying we want to give you transparency and rely on third parties to make sure that we get all the comfort that we need about the experience.
Well, my time is up, and I yield back. Thank you.
Lady yields back. Please.